Hey guys, welcome back to Reserved Investments on YouTube and welcome to the year 2021. Hope your year is doing well thus far. Hope it's nothing like 2020. Well, today we're going to be talking about economics and finance as it relates to the antiques and collectibles trade. Now, because I'm talking about economics and finance, I can't just come down here to my basement office with my contact lenses in, with my hair somewhat styled, with a nice shirt, nice necklace, and an Apple iWatch on, and start talking about economics and finance. No, we have to look the part if we're going to talk about economics and finance. So we got to tuck in the necklace, we got to zipper up the shirt, and we got to throw on a pair of glasses. Now, the glasses are very important. If any of you guys major in economics, finance, or business, or if you already have a degree in economics, finance, or business, at least at graduation, they told me that eventually my eyesight was going to go bad. And once it starts to go bad, I should get a pair of glasses. They told me, don't wear contact lenses. They said, if you wear contact lenses, you will no longer look the part of somebody educated in business, economics, or finance. Now, all those professors that taught me, they were pretty cool people. So I believe them. So when my eyesight went, I made sure to wear glasses the majority of the time. So as long as I have these glasses on and you're watching me on screen at home, I guarantee you that everything I say is 100% true because I'm educated in economics, finance, and business, and I have the glasses on to prove it. So now that that's out of the way, we're going to have a serious discussion about this book that was written on collectible investments for the high net worth investor way back in 2009. It was written by Stephen Satchel, and it is one of the best hardcore quantitative finance books in the antiques and collectibles trade, bar none. This book was written for college students. So this book is not going to be for everybody. It has a lot of graphs, a lot of raw data, and a lot of interesting facts about certain collecting categories that would appeal to a high net worth investor. Now, before you shut the video off, or worse, run to Abe's Books or eBay or Amazon and order a copy of this book, please hear me out. I don't want a repeat of what happened when I introduced this particular book written by collectibles expert Harry L. Rinker on this channel many moons ago. If you recall, back when I premiered this particular book, which is called How to Make the Most of Your Investments in Antiques and Collectibles, the first insider's guide to manipulating the antiques and collectible markets to maximize your investment, the price of this book shot up from $7 all the way up to $70+ on average. Now, to be fair, this is a very scarce book that is long out of print. This was written back in 1988 in a pre-internet era. However, if you are wanting to learn how manipulators manipulate a lot of these markets in the antiques and collectibles trade, this is the book to read. This really goes into detail on some of the tips and tricks that those people are performing in some of these more speculative markets at present time. And make no mistake, there pretty much is no collectible market out there that is void of market manipulation. Just want to state that. Now, this book is a lot different than this book. This book deals with two things. The first part of this book deals with behavioral finance and how it relates to the psychology of collecting, and also how it relates to investors who are also collectors that are trying to invest in a lot of these markets. If you don't know what behavioral finance is, the best definition that I can find from you is from the website known as Investopedia. Behavioral finance is an area of study focused on how psychological influences can affect market outcomes. Behavioral finance can be analyzed to understand different outcomes across a variety of sectors and industries. One of the key aspects of behavioral finance studies is the influence of psychological biases. You understand now why I have the glasses on? It's very important to sound smart when you're talking about behavioral finance and the influence of psychological biases, especially in the antiques and collectibles trade. Said another way, if you want to look at the emotional attachment that collectors have to the items that they collect and how that can influence their decisions when they become an investor in the antiques and collectibles trade, that pretty much is behavioral finance. Now, there's going to be more videos on this channel that take a deep dive into the concept of behavioral economics and finance and how it affects your buying decisions both as a collector, a speculator, and an investor. Remember, guys, it is very important to have an emotional attachment to these items that you are collecting if you are doing so for investment purposes. But on the other end of the spectrum, you cannot have too much of an emotional attachment that you make very judgmental moves in these markets that can cost you money over the short term, the midterm, and the long term. A lot of you guys that come to me who want to invest in Pokemon or a lot of pop culture artifacts, you are coming to me with the mindset that because you have an emotional attachment to these objects and other people have an emotional attachment to these objects, that makes them good long-term investments when there is no supporting data to back up your thesis. In other words, you are putting money in these markets under false pretenses. And for some of you, over the long term, that is going to hurt you financially. And I don't know how many times I have to stress that on this particular channel. Now, going back to this particular book, this book does an excellent job in the first section on covering the neuroeconomics and neurophysiology of collectors and investors operating in these markets. Now, that's excellent for a lot of you to gain that information. The problem is, because this book is written for individuals with a high net worth, it tends to focus on markets that some of you, or most of you out there, are not going to have an interest in. The main markets that this book covers in the antiques and collectibles trade is the market for investment quality art, rare books, antique maps, investment grade stamps, fine wine, and classic cars. Now, I already know a lot of you that watch my videos, you are not investing in most of those markets. You may get involved in some of them. For instance, there's a lot of people reaching out to me wanting me to do a video on investment grade antique maps. Believe it or not, that is a hot market right now, especially if you watch certain episodes of Pawn Stars where they show antique maps. I invest lightly in that market. I only have like one really rare investment grade map that I will eventually show you guys on camera, but that is an exciting market to get into. You guys know I love rare books, but I am not investing in stamps. I don't collect anything that could be licked or may have been licked by another individual. That's just too kinky for me. So I'm not involved in the market for investment grade stamps. I do tend to get involved in the market for fine wine. I do not do anything with classic cars, and I do love quality art. So this book is something that I could easily buy and get something out of it. Now, I'm going to give you the bad news. If you go on Amazon right now, this book, because it is written as a college textbook, is going to set you back $75. So what I would advise you to do is Google the title, Collectible Investments for the High Net Worth Investor. Start reading reviews and see if this is something that you want to spend $75 on. To be fair, some of you out there like me, $75 isn't a lot of money. You can go to Amazon, you can click buy now, it's going to be shipped to your house, and $75 isn't going to break you, whether you love the book or whether you hate it. But for some of you, I understand that $75 can be a significant investment. So please do your own research if you do want to buy this book. If all you want this book for is the commentary on behavioral economics and finance as it relates to the antiques and collectibles trade, I'm going to tell you, spend $20 and get this book instead. This book is called Killer Stuff and Tons of Money. Came out right around 2010, 2011. It was written by Maureen Stanton. This book as well goes into the psychology of collectors and investing in the trade. And compared to how this book reads, this reads like a hardcore textbook. This literally reads like a fictional story. So this is much easier to read for most of you out there. So you're going to have to weigh whether or not a book like this is worth spending $75 on. What I will tell you is if you are an investor in these markets, you have a substantial net worth, you have a net worth like me or even higher, and you want to learn about investment quality art, rare books, antique maps, investment grade stamps, fine wine, classic cars, along with the neuropsychology that goes along with collecting, This is a great investment overall. You will be proud to have it. It is definitely worth several reads through. Just to understand, there's a lot of graphs and other raw data in this book, especially when it goes into certain collecting categories like investment gains on art, stamps, and the like. So if that does appeal to you, check out this book. If not, I fully understand. I just wanted to do a review of this book because I know a lot of people search Amazon, eBay, Abe's Books, and from time to time, they'll email me and they'll go, hey, Sean, what do you think of that book, Collectible Investments for the High Net Worth Investor? So I wanted to do a video on it because potentially I can turn somebody onto this book. And on the other opposite end of the coin, if somebody says, what do you think of this book? Is this going to apply to me? I like Pokemon cards, Magic the Gathering, and other pop culture collectibles. There's no reason that person needs to buy this book. So I hope this helps. Let me know your feedback in the comment section below. And now I can take the glasses off because we're done talking about finance. Thanks, guys. Have a great night.